Hey there, fight fans. With Johnny Bedford injured, Dat Nguyen faces a new opponent at BKFC 14, Reggie Barnett Jr. And we've got the story next. Hey there, BKFC fight fans. Joining me today is Reggie Barnett Jr., who has a big fight coming up at BKFC 14 on short notice. So, Reggie, let's get right to it and talk about that. When did you get the call to fight Dat, and how is training camp going?
It was a couple weeks ago, I think. I'm not really sure what day that Nate Shook gave me the first call to fight him. But it took a couple days to convince the rest of my camp that I would be ready to fight. And after, some finagling and, assuring everybody that I was healthy enough to, have such a quick turnaround and get back in there, we agreed to the fight. And I stay training. Everybody knows that I own a gym. So if I'm not in the gym training myself, then I'm in the gym teaching. And I'm not the coach that just stands there and barks at you to do stuff. I get in the trenches with my teammates and my fighters, and I work out with them, and everything is hands-on. So I'm always in shape. I'm always ready to go.
Reggie, an incident occurred during BKFC 12, and as we roll that video, can you tell our viewers what was going on that day?
As soon as the first round ended, Dat jumped up and started running his mouth, talking trash to me. Oh, you have no fight IQ. You don't know how to cut off the ring. Da, 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 da. And I told him, sit down, shut the fuck up, and watch this. And then I went back out and dropped Abby in the second round. And then at the end of the round, I looked over at him and I said, "You're next." It just, he just had a whole bunch of trash to talk to me. We did a joint interview together on the Fuller podcast, and he said he was going to slap me. Out of his own mouth, he said I was not worth the time to fight and that he was just going to slap me the next time he seen me. Well, that was the next time we seen each other. So when I got out of the ring, I was pretty amped. I was still, coming out of a fight. I walked over there and I said, "Here I am, Dat, slap me, bitch." And he backed up. He did. You show the video. He backed up. When I first initially walked over there, he backed off of the gate. And then when the security guard walked over and tried to stop me from approaching the gate, then he proceeded to come over and start running his mouth and talking his trash. Don't say you're going to do something and then not do it. Be a man about it. He was just talking trash. I know he's not really built like that, but yeah, that's what happened. He said he was going to slap me the next time he seen me. That was the first time we seen each other since he said that. So I said, "Hey, here I am. Do what you said." And I told him, stand by your motherfucking word. And that's what I repeated. Stand by your word. And you see, he did absolutely nothing. And then he tried to play it off with the commissioner. Oh, we're just trying to build. No, I don't like you. You don't like me. You said some very disrespectful things about me, about my wife. And then you tried to shoot a low blow and bring up my past history and the things that I did when I was younger. Everybody's gone through some struggles. Everybody's faced some obstacles in their life. Some are different. But I overcame mine, and I became a better person. And I try to inspire people to, rise above whatever their circumstances are or whatever they're going through. So for him to even try to slight me at that level shows how much of a coward he is and how scared of me he really is.
How does that affect you mentally? I know last time we spoke at BKFC 12, we talked a little bit in our pre-interview before the fight about a grounding technique that you use. But how does all this emotional stuff affect you mentally going into the fight with Dat?
Nothing. It doesn't. Because I learned, I matured, because I went through that in the Johnny fight. I've been there, done that. And that's a part of my growth as a fighter, as a human being, as a man, that I'm not going to feed into. I'm not going in there, with Dat in my head with all the shit he said, because I know it was just out of cowardice because he's really scared of me. I'm going to get in there and fight him based upon my skill set and knowing that I am a better fighter than him.
Good for you. I would think myself it would be really hard not to get sort of in the mix with that, but maybe that's just because.
Well, see, and another thing I had to remind myself that I used to tell myself, and I tell my students, and I told my daughter, it doesn't matter what somebody calls you or says about you or somebody you love, because as long as you are secure in yourself and know the direction that you're going, it doesn't matter, because in this world, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You could be doing everything right, and somebody will still find a way to find some fault or, something wrong with what you're doing. And I had to remember that. I have forgot that in the past, So I had to bring myself back and I know who I am. I know what I've been through. I know how far I've come. I know the things that I had to fight through just to get this opportunity. So I'm not going in there based upon emotions. It's all good, man. If you want to shoot low blows to make yourself feel better about yourself, that's cool. He always walks around like he's so much better than everybody else. And you're not. I'm not better than anybody else. We're all human beings. Everybody is just trying to get through life and be happy. And you're not going to steal my happiness just with your words. It's not going to happen anymore.
Good for you. You sound very mentally prepared. That would be a tough one for many fighters to get over. What are the holes in Dat's game that you can take advantage of?
He's slow and he's weak in the clinch. He's like, I bring elite level boxing and hidden movement and da-da-da-da-da. And you knocked Abby out with a winging wild lucky punch. You act like you did something special. Who was that one kid, Keemon Green, who knocked the one dude out at BKFC 12? That was special. That was planned. That was accurate. That was on point. He put him to sleep. You and Abby were just having a wild exchange, and you happened to catch him with a punch. There's nothing special about that. And then against Travis Thompson, you're like, I got hidden movement. Da-da. We all know that Travis is slow. No offense to Travis. I love him to death, but he's not the fastest fighter in the league. So it's easy to duck his punches. Anybody can duck a punch that you could see last week. No.
It's funny you mentioned that, because my next question was exactly about that fight. In Dat's last fight against Abdil, who you recently beat by decision, Abdil was able to knock down Dat for the first time ever, but it was the strong left that finished Abby. Let's talk about that.
I mean, we all know that Dat's got a good left hook, but it's a wild winging left hook. And so you got to be able to get it to the target, and a winging punch is not going to hit me. You got to hit me with a straight punch. That's what Johnny dropped me with every time, and I've made adjustments to deal with that, but he can be dropped. He can be hurt just like I can. You're not invincible like you try to portray. Like you can't be hurt or whatever. Abby drops you clear as day. And I beat the shit out of it. I stopped trying to knock Abby out. I honestly, my father, in between, I think it was the third or fourth, I don't even remember what round it is. He said, son, just go out there and work. He said, you don't need to knock him out. And so I stopped trying to knock him out. I just went out there to just do my job and have fun. Everybody's like, it's a blood sport. Everybody that I've ever fought has bled, even the champ. And that is what I bring to the table. This is a blood sport. Once you get in that squared circle with me, you are guaranteed to bleed. It does not matter whether I win or lose the fight. Every man that has gotten in that squared circle with me has left some type of bloodied or battered.
Bloody and battered. We love that. We'll be there, by the way, at BKFC 14, bringing you all the beautiful bloody action. Reggie, what do you think makes you a better fighter?
My heart, my skill. And he acts like his 23 boxing matches is so much more ring experience than me. And he doesn't realize that I've competed in every facet of combat sports. Everything. MMA, boxing, kickboxing, bare knuckle, Muay Thai. I've done jiu-jitsu tournaments, everything, so you can't sit here and act like your experience level is so much higher than mine because you fought more times as a professional boxer, because if you pull up his record, it's just like any other boxer's record. It's padded. You fought nobodies and you fought guys that you knew that you were going to beat before you even got in the ring. I only did that twice as a boxer. My pro debut and Shane Tyner. And that's because Shane challenged me to a boxing match after I beat him in the cage. But everybody else that I boxed, that I, had a professional box, could fight. It was me going in there and being the underdog and challenging myself. The only time he had to challenge himself was that one big fight that he had. I don't even know the guy he beat, and then he disappeared from boxing after that. You know? So you can't act like your ring experience is so much greater than mine. It's just not. It's not.
Fair enough. What range are you looking to fight Dat at?
Every range. This shit is going to be dirty. It's going to be gritty. It's going to be nasty. It's going to be wild. And I'm okay with that. But is Dat okay with that?
So for our new BKFC fight fans, tell us your current record, please.
I'm 5-1. The only person to beat me is the current 135-pound champion. And me and Johnny, when we met at BKFC 1, we had planned to fight each other. We asked Dave Feldman if he could do the tournament and put us on opposite sides of the bracket because we knew we were going to run through it and end up fighting each other. And, I took an L. It's all right. I don't look at it as a loss. I look at it as a learning experience. And I did learn from it. I learned the mental warfare part of the game that that I never really truly had to deal with before. And then I also learned how to just deal with the emotions as far as fighting under that type of pressure. Johnny fought in the UFC before.
Yeah.
And so he's had that type of pressure before. He's had that type of exposure. That was the first time for me. I'm not making any excuses about my performance because everybody saw I answered the call. I got up off the canvas every time, and I still pushed the action, and I still fought my ass off. And if need be, I'm going to do the same thing.
Have you spoken to Johnny at all before the fight, or is that not happening?
I messaged him to just, wish him the best and a speedy recovery on his injury. Of course, I have the utmost respect and adoration for him as, a fellow pioneer in this sport. And I never want to see another fighter not be able to do what they love to do based upon being injured, So, but other than that, no, I really haven't, spoken to him. I hope he's doing well. I hope that his recovery is, going well for him as well. And I hope that he comes back at 135, but we all speculate that he may not be able to make the weight again just coming off of that injury. So we'll see. Either way, at the end of the day, like I said, he's a pioneer in this sport with me. Whether you love him or hate him, he's here, and I want to see him stay in the sport. And I want my rematch. So
That's very respectful of you. I think everybody loves Johnny Bedford. He's just an amazing fighter and an amazing person as well. In a recent interview with Brian Sosha, David Feldman said you were one of his favorite fighters and will fight anyone. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel good that the boss supports me and he believes in me and he knows, what I bring to the table. He knew that when I went to those the tryouts. I went up there and shined, and then I told him, I said, I'm not, here for. I posted it in the BKFC group earlier because they put out some rankings and they left me out. And initially, I was like, well, damn, I have more fights than everybody in the league. Yeah. I have the second most wins, but it's not really about notoriety or what. I like to fight. I enjoy fighting. This is my lifestyle. I live it every day. And I just want to be able to compete and take care of my family and chase my dream and hopefully inspire other people to chase their dreams too. And so for Dave to know and recognize that I will, it does not matter who, anytime, any place, anywhere, I'll get in there and thump. This is just who I am.
Have you thought ahead to anyone you would like to face after that if Johnny doesn't stay in the division?
No, not right now. Where the focus, since the fight was such short notice, the focus has been solely on that and just preparing and making sure that all of my tools are as sharp as possible.
Is it going to be war then?
Yeah, it's going to be a war. And I'm okay with that. Everybody knows that Reggie Barnett Jr. is okay with the war. Is Dat Nguyen okay with the war? That's what we're going to find out, is if he is truly, truly built for this sport.
Before we go today, Reggie, is there anything else you want to add? And if you don't thank your sponsors, your wonderful mom is going to kill both of us. And I love her. Shout out to Reggie's mom.
Yeah, my mom, Kim Barnett, she has been putting in work for me, and I absolutely adore my mom. She, for people that don't know, my mom has end-stage COPD. And if you don't know what end-stage means, that means end stage, you know, and I feel like her taking over the reins as my manager has given her, I know I get emotional when I talk about it too, it's given her a drive and a passion and a reason to continue to fight and persevere through, you know, her disease. And so I'm just grateful that she's still here, because a couple of years ago, she almost died on me, you know, and she, you know, everybody thinks, you know, my fighting spirit comes from my mom. My father taught me how to fight, but my fighting spirit comes from my mother, you know, and she was literally on her deathbed. And I said, Mom, you got to fight, because I still need you. Yeah. And here we are. And I wouldn't be where I am now without her. So I'm just like grateful for it. And she's been putting in work, and the world knows, and I want the world to know how much of an amazing woman she is, not just for being my momager, but she does so much for the community out here, for the kids. It's incredible just to see her still living and breathing and getting a chance to take part in all of this. So I'm just, you know, that's another motivating factor to get in there and be willing to die for this shit, you know? So that was a little tough in itself, but you know, she's gotten me wonderful sponsors. I have such an awesome support system. And then I have the whole state of VA on my back, you know, and I won't say on my back, you know, because there's a difference. I have the whole state of VA behind me to push me and propel me I call it fighting spirit. Yeah. Remember how we talked about Hajime Ippo and the fighting spirit? And that's what he used to use, the fighting spirit of all the people that support and believe in him to push him through those hard moments, you know, in a fight. And I have that from not just my team, but an entire state that believes in me and has seen my struggles and seen me come through the other side and seen me try to project positivity back into the community and raise up other people so that they can get to a point in their life where they can chase their dreams. So I'm grateful for that. And of course, shout out to Dave Feldman for not knowing a damn thing about me, but still giving this little nobody boxer from Chesapeake, Virginia, where they don't give Virginia fighters any goddamn credit, an opportunity to fight on this stage. And I told him, just give me my shot and I'm going to come out there and put on. And I did the first show, and I put on every time I've gone out there, win, lose, or draw.
Yeah, I feel like you're such a wonderful inspiration to people. We're going to put a card in the end of this video where I talk to Reggie about some of the challenges he faced, because we need to talk about the BKFC 14 fight, but it's a really amazing story for everybody to see the progression from going to a very bad spot to a much more incredible spot, is all I can say, or amazing spot in his life.
Stability. That's more or less what it is. You know, like my life was such a spiral and unstable and such uncertainty that my son is 5 months old and he's mobile now, and I get to enjoy that because in all honesty, I was so screwed up in my mind and my thinking that I missed all of that time in my daughter's life, and she's 12 now. You know, so I'm grateful that I have gotten to a point in my life where I was able to bring another child in this world without the want or worry of not being there to watch him grow and mature and become a human, you know, become whatever person or human being he's going to be. And I don't have to worry about missing any time in his life because my life is stable.
Good for you. All right. Before we go today, if we don't thank your sponsors, both you and me are going to be in trouble with your mom. So let's go ahead and start naming it. If you forgot, I've got a list from her. Thanks, Mom.
Always. She stays on top of things. I have the list. I just don't know where it is. So let's start with Tribal International. As always, thank you guys so much. They're all the way across the water, across the country, across the world, and supporting me. You know, my first international sponsor. Thank you guys so much. J&K Style Grills, which is my favorite place to eat in the world. We always have our celebrations there. That's where I have my cheat meals. And I'm actually underweight for this fight right now. My coach told me to go have a big meal today. So after this interview, I'm going over there to get me a Dijon burger and enjoy that. Yeah, Dad, I'm flexing on you like that, bro. I'm about to go have me a thick ass cheeseburger and still make weight and beat your ass in a couple of weeks. Let's see, Lamora Rose, which is my cousin's company. They customize all sorts of gear. My Educated Hands mask, my Educated Hands shirts, all that. Match Bout. They're doing my new custom-made shoes. My brother Mike over there has been just absolutely awesome. Gordon Customs,
Yep.
Lago over in the gym. His son Chris too trains. He's one of my students. He's going to national.
Who is that?
This young man has only been boxing for 2 years. He said, "I don't want to play football no more. Will you teach me how to fight?" And I said, "Yeah, everything I know, just dedicate yourself." He comes to train with me at 5:30 in the morning on the week that I train. And this is a a kid. He's a young man, but he's got that much dedication, So, and his dad believes in me, and so Gordon Custom definitely sponsors me. Mr. Ginger Ales, oh man, I just ran out of ginger ale. I was so disappointed. And Carl's not going to be back for a couple of weeks, so I'm hoping maybe I'll get something to take down to Florida with me. Definitely OCD Graphics. If you see my last banner, it was absolutely amazing. We have another one coming out. Let's see, where were we at? Travis Lee Institute, Dr. Lee. Thank you so much for looking out for me and trying to put me back together as quick as possible so that we could make this quick turnaround and get right back in there for this fight. Shore Construction, Nate Price, out of nowhere. I haven't even known this man that long. He said, "Hey, do you work at that company across the street from the company I work at?" What? And I was like, "You talking about Hampton Roads Termite?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, I work over there." He's like, "Man, I work right across the street." And then 2 days later, my mom called me and said, "Oh, they're sponsoring you." I was like, "What? That's crazy." So yes, thank you so much, guys, for definitely sponsoring me. And then Grindstone Athletics isn't a sponsor. They are my other second part of my team now. We brought Chase Walden and Tom Reinhardt in, and if y'all haven't seen the increase in my skill and my fighting as far as in the bare knuckle squared circle, them in conjunction with my home gym, 757 Boxing, because we all have been working together to fine-tune and innovate within the bare knuckle game. So we got CryoSpa VB. It used to be called something else, and then the company got bought out. And I figured, I was going to have to go down there and pay to get my cryo treatments just like everybody else. And Jeremy contacted my mom and was like, "Hey, we'll pull them back on as a sponsor at our new place." And then they have so many more amenities now than just the cryo. So it's absolutely great that they just brought me right back in to sponsor me. So I'm really grateful for that. And then Joiner Driving Improvement School. Anytime we got to drive somewhere, because most of these trips we're driving now because of COVID. I don't like flying in the first place. So after COVID hit, I'm like, nah, even if it's in California, we driving if we got to fight over there. So they always look out and, help with the travel. And so I'm so grateful for them. And then, of course, 757 Boxing. I was born and raised in 757. My dad founded that gym to keep me out of trouble. Unfortunately, it didn't work initially, but now I'm just going to be honest. It did. I still went through some hard time, but now the gym, we have national champions from, regional champions. We have kids from the age of 4 all the way up to, 18. We have adults, and we just try to do as much as we can for the community, not just as far as teaching the kids how to fight, but being there for them in that family atmosphere. If you ever walk into 757 Boxing, you can feel the family unity in there. So if anybody's ever out in Chesapeake, Virginia, 1720 Lambert Court, come check us out. There's no other feeling. Those are the gyms that really get shit done. When you walk in there and you can feel the unity in there. When you have those huge, workout, fitness, training centers, you don't really get that close tight-knitness. So I'm so grateful to be able to have that from my gym and my dad for just building it for me. And I'm going to continue to build it. It's a legacy that we're building. So when I'm done fighting, I can leave it for my children. And when my children are done, they can leave it for their children. And when their children are done, they can leave it for their children. So it's not about, just like I said, it's not just about fighting. It's about changing and doing positive things in the community. And as long as we leave that lineage and build that legacy, we will leave an everlasting change in this world. And that's what I'm really trying to do.
All right, fight fans, BKFC 14 goes down Friday night from Miami Beach, Florida, and features the long-awaited grudge match between Jim Ehlers and Luis Baboon Palomino. You can catch this fight on the BKTV app, which you can download. And we will be there bringing you all the beautiful bloody action. Help a girl out, hit the subscribe button, share, like this video, and if you leave a comment below, I read them all. Maybe I'll read your name on the air and announce your question in one of my next interviews. Thanks for watching. I'm Susan Cingari. And remember, no one beats us to the punch.